Morning all. Trucks are back. It's going to be noisy. Anyway, I'll continue. My mom always used to say, when I was a kid, make sure you wipe properly. The same rule applies to cars, I think. Today, I'm going to try and install some wipers. So let me show you what I have to work with. Now, Ted was kind enough to send me some wiper parts. And this is the wiper motor. As you can see, there's no wires coming out of this motor because this is a vintage vacuum powered motor, right? Sits under the dash. This is your switch to switch it on and off. And this lever here goes back and forward, pushing the bars over to the wiper blades, namely these. Okay, so this will sit, this is, let's say, driver's side. Okay, this sits in the top of the firewall on the outside of the glass. The wiper blade will sit kind of like that. And then when that little motor goes left and right, it will push that and pull it like so. Hopefully. Awesome, eh? So, if it works. Now, obviously, because it's vacuum powered, it will take a feed off the manifold. But it means that it's only actually going to work at idle or very low RPM. Because when you're revving up your car, the vacuum's gone, it's going straight into the engine. The carb is open, so it is known to be a bit of a pain when you're like driving up a hill in the rain, you're putting your foot down, no wipers. Anyway, I digress. I did pick up an electric motor for the rat rod project, and I was hoping I'd be able to use that, but it's just not going to work for this project. This is designed to go on the roof, I believe, because the switch is at the back. I can't install that in the dash. It's just not going to work, unfortunately. So I'll keep that for future projects and focus on this. Now, if you can hear it, right? Sucking. So it's definitely not seized. However, the intake for the vacuum line, I think, is that hole there, and it should have a little pipe protruding to attach a vacuum line. Obviously, you can see there, it don't have that. So I'm going to have to make one. So I'm thinking maybe this bit of pipe that I found looks about the right size. I'll cut that off there and try and tap it in that hole. Maybe use a bit of sealer of some description if it's close, and then I can attach a vacuum line to the end of that. Now, I do have vacuum line. I've got like 10 feet of it. Unfortunately, it's all in like 8-inch sections, so that's not good. So what I'm thinking of doing is possibly running a hard line using that NICOP pipe I use for the brakes, and then I only need small sections rubber to go from there to the motor itself, and another small section to go from the rubber hose to the intake. So no big deal there. So let us see if we can chop this down and tap it in there. Okay then, I have my little pipe cut. Seems to be roughly the right size, so I'm just going to tap-a-roo that in. Okay, right, next thing I want to do is hook that up to the vacuum with the car running and turn this little switch and see if that moves. No point going any further until I know this works. Okay, for now I've taken a feed off of the vacuum that's coming from the distributor, as I don't have a plug for the manifold yet, but this should at least, let's see if this works. Let me fire it up. Cover your ears. Right, as you can see, it was only turning and then stopping, but I did a bit of experimenting, so check this out when I try again. Actually, I'll explain it because you won't hear me. Remember that other hole that I mentioned? Did I mention? Anyway, there's another hole at the other side, so remember that because I'm going to be blocking that off with my finger. Watch this. So I'm not sure if you're supposed to just block off that other hole or if it's supposed to go to another vacuum line. I'll put a little rubber bung in it for now, and if anyone knows further down the line, or if I just have to hook the vacuum line up to the manifold rather than the carb, give it more power. But I know I have to lube the inside of the motor just with, apparently use brake fluid, which is bizarre. So I'll do that. But that's actually the hard part done. Obviously I need to route some pipe and then figure out how I'm going to attach everything to the car. Whatever, we'll get it done. Wait, did more experimenting. Check this out. So I did have it hooked in to the distributor vacuum advanced thing. So I've changed that and now I've got it hooked into the transmission vacuum. So it shouldn't affect, you know, the running of the car like it was before. So let me hook this up, start this up and see how it performs now. Much better. Obviously it wasn't turning as fast one way as the other, so it probably needs a bit of lubing still to do that. And I've also got the wiper arms to free up, one of them seized, so we'll move into the garage and do that next. Well, I have my little wiper arms WD'd and I'll just leave them for a while. So while I'm waiting for that to activate, let's see if we can lubricate this monster. I still can't, I gave Ted a call, he's the guy that gave me these, and we just can't decide what that hole's for. So what I think it might be for is for actual maintenance. I think it's supposed to have a little plug in it, which I'll need to recreate. But when you are lubricating it, apparently, now this, I don't know if I'm being pranked or what, but you're supposed to use brake fluid, okay? A couple of teaspoons of brake fluid in there, and then wiggle it back and forward for a while, hopefully freeze it all up. But I reckon that hole there is so that the fluid can actually come out again. That's my guess. So I'm going to give that a shot. I've got a little syringe, I've got a little bit of hose, I've got some brake fluid in here, and I'm just going to plug it in there and squish it and hope for the best, eh? Alright, let's see now. I'll plug that in there. Give it a squish. I should probably take that off again because it's now trying to pull that. And let's see if it does actually come out of that hole at the bottom. I think it is moving a bit better. But nothing's coming out, which is worrying. I wonder if it comes out there. That's stuff it, I'll put more in. Hey, if it's ruined, it's ruined, you know? I really hope it's not ruined, that's a terrible thing to say. I can't afford to replace this part. Right, little motor, have some more juice. I know you want it. Oh, it's coming out. Hey, what happens if I cover that hole while I'm doing this? Okay, that's enough of that. Let's try and get the fluid out again. Here it goes. Right, hopefully I've not destroyed it. I'll let that drip for a while and then I'll try it again in the car. Right, let's see how my little wiper arms are shaping up. That one's still really stiff, like completely solid. This one should be fine, it was already free. Okay, what am I going to do about this? I'm going to have to put this in the vise and see if I get some movement, just very gently back and forward, because we're getting nothing at the moment. Sometimes you just got to take a chance. Whew. Started moving pretty much straight away. I'm really just using the weight of the hammer, I'm not really applying pressure to this. More scoosh. Many years of inaction. Oh, here we go. So as you can see, when I'm turning that, that is spinning, which is what it's supposed to be doing. Oh, it's not nice in there. This will be the passenger side. Okay, we are good. Now, there is a pin in there that it's pivoting on that I can see it's kind of elongated. But I'm really not sure if there's much I can do about that. Yeah, because it's skipping teeth now and then because it's not pulling it down far enough. We'll see, I might have to take that. I'll show you what I'm talking about. You see that pin there? It's moving on that. So it's either the pin's worn or the thing it's going through is worn. And it means it's not making a good contact with that gear. You see the gear? of what's left of the gear. But it's kind of working for now. It's a bit notchy. The problem there is if it doesn't make the same contact for the wiper arm all the time, then the wiper will end up being like pointing in different directions, or even going right down onto the firewall and breaking. So that's kind of crucial. I need to see if I can fix that. But in the right steps, it's doing something. Okay, back to the bench. Well, the other bench. Right, I couldn't find anything online for what that second hole is for. But I do know that it works when I block that hole. So for now, I'm just going to put a plug in it. What I've done here is I've just got a, what's that, 1.5 inch bolt that I've kind of tapered the end. I'm not threading it in, I just want it to kind of jam in there. And I'm just going to use a wee bit of sealant, tap it in, let it set. And the reason I'm using the bolt is it just makes it easier to grab something if I want to remove it and put the actual thing in. It's not going to interfere with anything, I don't think. So let me just tap that in. Okay, that should do. What's next? Right, a couple of things I need to plan ahead with. So this is the weird switch. I have no idea what was on the top of that. But it only has to move 1/2 inch, okay? So if that's the front of the car, this gets mounted under the dash. Hopefully these two screw holes will be in the right place. So as I say, that's the front. The levers will activate the wipers left and right. Pipe coming out there. But how on earth am I supposed to make this switch work? So what I'm thinking of doing, if I can just get a bit of metal bar, well, probably only needs to be about 6 inches, that'll attach to that somehow. And as I say, it just needs to push it. I'll probably make a wee bracket because you can see that angle isn't that way, it's that way. And then it'll protrude through the dash and it'll just be a little knob that I pull in and out to activate it. Something simple. Don't want to overcomplicate it in case I find out the proper way of getting the switch to work. But that should work for now. So yeah, I need to do that. I need to make sure that the bolts are fitting. I need to get circlips for the end of these to lock that in place. I'm only going to do the driver's side for now because I really don't trust that other one. And I think it's better to not have a passenger one than have a faulty one for the safety test at least. And then I can work harder to fix the other side. Okay, what will I do first? Oh yeah, I need to route some hosing, piping as well. This is so fiddly. I knew it was going to be a fiddly one, but I think it's going to work. So I had to get underneath the dash and just make sure that this was actually going to fit. And it will, which is great. I also figured out that, you see that little switch at the top? I still don't know how I'm going to connect this, but basically, you see that little hole up there? I need to make some sort of rocker switch that pushes that lever back and forward. That's going to be the trickiest thing to make in this whole thing. So I'm going to make up some pipes. Oh, I found something else. Wait till you see this. While I was searching my whole garage to get a bit of this brake pipe to use as my vacuum line, I discovered that Ted, the saviour, he'd actually sent me 3 of these, and this one works perfectly. So I am good to go. Now obviously I still need to find the circlips to go in the end, but I pretty much got all my parts. That wiper arm's a wee bit cruddy. The other one's good, but it's a bit long. But I think I can just take off that end piece there. You see how it's crimped on the bar there? I think I can just take that end piece off, cut this down to the right size, and then crimp it back on. It's no biggie, it's not exactly high tech, and it is the same type. It's just a lot nicer, so that'll be the driver's side. Right, let me throw some stuff together and I'll be back for the install. Okay, the vacuum line is plumbed in to the car, into the engine, coming from the engine to the inside of the firewall. This is ready and good to go. I know it fits, I know it works. These are ready, I know they work. Wee. I found a couple of circlips to go on. They go on there, circlip goes on top. Got them from that Holly rebuild kit. I knew it'd be good for something. So the only thing left, my friends, is working out some sort of switch mechanism for this top bit. And I'm really struggling to come up with an idea. Basically, this will sit just under the dash. There's a hole at the top of the dash, so a rocker arm of some description needs to come down. Sorry, a rocker switch needs to come down, go in there, and just go flick. Finger works pretty good actually, but I don't think the safety guy will approve, so need to come up with something. Right folks, took me a while, but I've come up with a plan. I really have no idea what the lever looked like for the top of this, so I'm really just having to improvise, okay? So we have here a length of stainless steel tubing, which I'm going to put over the end. Right, in basic terms, when this comes through the hole of the underside of the firewall, I'll leave about an inch or two, and it will basically use the firewall as its rocking mechanism to switch it back and forward. But it's all a bit loose and a bit rattly, so to tighten up that end, I'm going to put a little section of this tube over the top, and that tube also fits inside that steel tube. That takes care of that rattle. I'll have a rubber grommet on the underside of the dash to take care of that rattle. So if that's the underside of the dash, that tube goes in there. Rocks like that. And finally, to stop the tube from just coming out, I'm going to force one of these grabby washers underneath that side, right? And then when it's at the right height, to jam that in the right place and through the hole, I'll push this washer all the way up to the underside of the dash to hold it in place. Hope it works. Only one way to find out. I really dislike those fiddly jobs. Okay. It's fitted, everything's fitted except for the wipers and the arms, obviously. And the switch is the switch thing that I made isn't really going to work. It'll work for testing purposes. So let's fire it up and see if anything turns. Well, they almost work. And I think the problem is I need to take the vacuum off of the manifold. I was really just experimenting with, you know, like the vacuum off the carb, and I just don't think it's enough suck. But the other thing I'm going to try before I give up for today is I'm going to reduce the idle, because I think it's running a bit fast, so it's not getting as much vacuum as it should. So one more go. So in conclusion, my wiper motor really sucks. or at least it requires a lot of sucking, and the carb manifold, the carb vacuum just isn't enough. If I could tee into like the brake booster, that would probably work well, but I think it needs its own dedicated suck pipe. Also, the little switch inside isn't going to work because that little claw thing that was underneath isn't directly below the hole, it's like offset. I'm going to have to conjure up something very ingenious for that to work, but as you saw, the sweep is good, and it just needs a bit of adjustment with the actual wiper arm spring. It's not quite touching the glass as hard as it should, and obviously the other side needs to be done, but I think the hard work's done, to be honest. Getting everything fitted and kind of working. Now it's just tweaking. I've got a lot of tweaking to do in this car. Okay folks, thanks for tuning in. Don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. Probably I need to finish this. I don't want to just let this linger. And then, oh, might as well show you the list. I need to finish off this list so I can start the next one. Right, so the lights are all done. Battery clamp's done. For those that didn't know, this was the list that I was trying to complete before the end of September so that I could get it safetied, but I failed. Hood, rods, done. Grille, done. Fenders, done. Seats bolted. I still haven't bolted the seats because as you could see from these videos, I still need good access. Seats will pretty much be the last thing I do. And the wipers should have been on there, but hey, they're not quite done yet anyway. Right folks, thanks for joining me today. Join me on the next one. Might be tomorrow, might be the day after, and I'll have a brand new list. But not too much left to do to get this car ready for the safety test, and then I can actually start test drive. Well, once I pay all the money to get it actually legal, and then we can start road testing. I can't wait. Thanks everyone, bye bye.